everybody. Welcome back to another video by myself, Realm and Myth. This one is going to be for free. It's going to be posted all over the socials and for everyone to see. This is going to be just a general chat about the cheapies, what we're expecting, and the ones that we consider playable, who might make cash quicker than others, which one might be a slow burn. Just our general opinion on the main ones. We'll go through it positionally. So we're going to start with center wing. And thankfully, we're getting a few more center wings come through than we expected. We got the main ones that are really highly owned: Robert Toya, Svelia Tamale, Jackson Purdue. A couple of others have kind of popped up now. Sione for now from the Dragons, Stafford Toa, Chance at the Tigers, Shibazaki, Isaiah Tass. Did you want to run through which ones you currently are looking to own at the moment, which ones you're considering?
So depending on the build, I will own anywhere between I would say 4 of these guys or 5. If we get less than that, that's going to change my structure. But that's what I'd like to do at the moment. I think starting off the bat, we'll start with Robert Toya, who I think we both agree looked pretty good in the trial. He had a great work rate. He looks like he can get attack. So it's someone there that I'm almost very comfortable to play week in, week out. Even that round 2 game against the Penrith, he's on the right edge. The Panthers' left edge will be something like Blaze or Cole, IPAP. So there's new combinations out there. So I think there's enough opportunity there that I'd be comfortable playing Robert Toya pretty much indefinitely for the start of the season. Yeah,
definitely. In most of my builds, I've actually just plugged him in at center wing 4 because he looks like on the weekend he had amazing base power. He'll get through his work. Kind of went unnoticed as well. He made 15 tackles in the first half, which for a center is ridiculous. So if he's got that type of work rate, he's a play every week. Eventually the Roosters will start getting attack, especially in that Manu position that he's currently in. Jackson Purdue.
Yep.
I was going to say Jackson Purdue, he's one that's going to be very highly owned but not played a lot, especially with the Cows having a bit of a rougher draw to start the season. He's more of a matchup play or play when necessary, not because you want to every single week. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, so looking at his 3 games at centre last year, to base power of 40, 27, and 32. Noting one of those games he was sin-binned, so obviously missed the opportunity to increase that base and power. So looks okay. That Valentine's home spot was pretty good.
Yeah, if he's that sweeping player like Val was, it makes him very interesting. But again, probably a matchup play until we see what that's actually like at the start of the season. Yeah. For now, and Toya, kind of, if they're starting round 1, it's going to be kind of hard not to go them. Shibazaki as well, I'll throw them in because we don't know what Shibazaki's price is going to be. We talked about it earlier. It's probably going to range anywhere from 230K up to about that 280, 290 mark, hopefully on that lower end. But if they're starting, it's going to be quite hard not to go them, especially if your team is littered with guns like ours probably will be. For now, on the wing, has great base and power. That left wing as well for the Dragons looks to be their primary target, so it could be the beneficiary of a few attacking points. Stafford Toa outside Galvin, what's your thoughts there?
Yeah, I'm just going back because in 2023, he hit a peak price of 666,000 following a 152 when the Tigers demolished the Cowboys.
Yeah, wasn't it like 66 to 16 or something ridiculous like that?
They just destroyed them. And across the season at centre, he had a base power PPM of 0.5. So basically he's putting up 40 base power per game. He did have a run of 30s towards the back end of the season. He's under the Tigers. I think he's another one that I don't think he's the worst play. I think he'll be very much one that is similar to Finau, be matchups. So we're seeing some of these guys. We're not seeing those traditional centre wing cheapies that are 15 floor. Although now that I say that, we're getting to Shibazaki, who
we don't often see those 15 floors from the centres though. That's more the low base wingers.
Yes.
Would you say that could be an Isaiah Tass? I don't think Tamale's got a good base in his game, but I think the big issue with him, which we can agree on, is that he could be out of the team by round 2, which is a bit scary. So if you're starting a Tamale, you're not going to want to run with someone like a Jesse McLean as enough in the centre wing, even though he's first back up for the Penrith, just because you could be running only 5 centre wings by round 2, which is a daunting aspect. Would you agree with that, or were you thinking a bit more daring?
Yep. I also don't like the fact that Tamale's on the left. I was hoping he was going to be on the right. I much prefer him outside of Fogarty than Ethan Strange. Strange more likely to step back inside and run, but Fogarty is more likely to pass. So I kind of changed my tune a little bit on Tamale. I'm not sure he's going to be a guy that you want to play because I'm not confident in the attacking stats come.
Yeah. Just did himself no favors either with his performance in that trial game. So just ruined my confidence in him continuing on in that position. If we do get him past round one, fantastic. But I'm just not banking on it at this point in time. We'll move on to another position where there's quite a few cheapies that have come into play in the last week or so. The second row forward. We've got a lot of 232k guys that have popped up. We've got Goz from the Broncos, Kitiona Katoga from the Eels, who's randomly starting now. We've got a number of Warriors guys could be options. Halasima, Laban, Vimorga, who could all possibly be options depending on who gets a start, what the bench makeup looks like. Then we've got a few high guys. Ryan Couchman's a chance for a bench spot at the Dragons. He's got a great PPM as well if they're running the two hooker play, which is likely. We got Suya Wong starting at the 13 this weekend. If he carries that, he's a great Tour F3-4 option. How many guys of these are you likely to carry going into round one at this stage, assuming they're all starting?
It'll at least be my bench. At a minimum, these guys will cover second row forward 4 all the way through to 6. I think Wong's, a separate discussion to the other 3. I think so. I'll go the other 3 at the moment. So Goss, Katoga, and Laban.
Laban / other Warriors players.
Let's say Valmonga bench. No, I don't think he's startable. You can have him there to rot on your bench. I think he could average 35 and make be a slow burn, but in your 18, absolutely not. I think all the other 3, if Laban started, Goss and Katoga, I don't think any of them play 80. So I think you're looking around that 55 to 65 minute mark. From what I've seen from all of them, none of them have the work rate that's going to give you a good enough score in that time without attack. So in that sense, I would probably rather the centre wing cheapies to play because I don't think their base power will be that much lower than these guys, and their chance for attacking stats would be a lot higher.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the way that, they would be rotting in my Tour F5-6 spot. Not looking to play them any week unless absolutely forced to, if I'm decimated with injuries or I own a lot of players on the buy, something like that. So avoid playing them at any cost. And if they're not looking like they're making amazing money, get out of them once they've made 100, 150k roughly. That would probably be the play. Any other Tour F cheapies that you're considering there? Or we can touch on Wong a little bit more. If he's starting at 13, is he in your 18 every week?
Yes, I think I've seen enough from Wong to see he's got a good work rate. He's got the opportunity of attack. I think if he's starting, he plays good enough minutes. I think at least round 1, I'd be happy to play Wong in my 18. And if he then emerges that he's not playing enough minutes, then it's definitely a bit of trouble if I load up on Storm players for that round 2 round. Yeah,
definitely. Look, we'll move on to the hooker position because there's obviously a lot of cheapies that have popped up to that hooker 2 spot. Some are running them between 1 and 2 as well. I don't know if I'm going to be that brave, but we'll start with the main guy, Sandon Smith, because I think he's the highest owned player in SuperCoach, and he can go between the half and hooker. A lot are going to be starting with him, but playing him, I'm not fully sure of. We saw on the weekend, even with the try, assist, and goal kicking, he finished with 15 points in one half, which is that's more impressive than getting 100, I would say. It shocked me he was able to finish with 15 after getting a try assist as well. So he would be a matchup play for me. I'd hate to have him in my 18 every single week, especially with their run to start the year with Broncos and I think Penrith up in the first 2 games. He could finish with a 20 to 30 average after the first 2 rounds for all we know. So really just like that. And if you're pairing him with a Corey Pakes or something like that in hooker 2, it just calls for trouble for me. Are you on the same page?
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about Sandon Smith, particularly if starting with Harry Grant, because you have to play him round 2. So I think that's definitely something for everyone that's looking at Grant to be a little bit concerned about. But again, it's 1 round, so do you factor that in enough? But yeah, I wasn't impressed with Sandon Smith on the weekend, but his numbers last year were a little bit better. So maybe it's a bit of an outlier, but it didn't fill me with confidence. Hoping his performance on the weekend increases my confidence in playing him, because a goal kicking half in a side, I'd prefer them to be someone I can be playing on matchups.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, you're a Broncos fan. You probably have a better idea of how Corey Pakes plays than me. Would you consider him playable at any time? What minutes are you expecting? What PPM are you expecting?
So going back to 2023, he averaged 26 points in 31 minutes. I wouldn't expect his PPM to go above that. He didn't have that many attacking stats in that, so it was largely base. I'd expect him to play somewhere between 55 and 65 minutes, probably average somewhere around maybe the 40 mark. And in reality, Hooker's attacking stats, aside from your absolute guns,
Yeah, they're hard to come by.
They're hard to predict. They could happen in any sort of game. Just very hard to call when that's going to occur. So
he could have a Danny Levi run like the start of last year, where he had like something ridiculous, like 4 tries in the first 6 games, something like that, or 4 attacking sets in the first 6 games, especially behind that Broncos pack, because we know they're one of the best in the competition. They've got a good run early, so I feel like if Pakes is going to make money at any time, it's when he's got the confidence to be the starting hooker from round 1 and behind that team. So. Yeah, but that's another thing as well. You do have to play him in round 2 if you are pairing him with a Harry Grant. Whereas if you're running a Connor Watson, a JMK, a Blake Brayley, anyone like that, you don't have to worry. They can be like Sanders Smith can be a slow burn. Corey Pakes can be a slow burn. You don't have to worry about it. But you really have to consider these guys as playable in round 2 if you're running a Harry Grant, which does make me a bit worried about all of them, to be honest. Mamazelos. Yes. You wanna? Is he in your team? Because for me, he hasn't really been featuring in my team a lot in the last few weeks.
No, I've had most of the season where I've had a gun hooker plus Sanders Smith at that reserve spot. So he's not someone that's been coming in for me too often. Looking at the numbers, he had 0.86 base or PPM last year. Obviously, we'd expect that to drop over 80 minutes because obviously he's going to have to spread his energy out. 4 try assists in 18 games. You'd hope those numbers increase a little bit more rate. I'd expect similar 60, 65 minutes, I would hope. But again, I think if you don't get attacked, you're probably getting a 35 to 45 from him.
Yeah, I think I can see him similar to Corey Pakes, where the minutes would range from anywhere from 50 to 65, something along those lines. We don't know what type of role Humphries is going to play off the bench. We don't know what role Memo is going to have, whether he's going to be limited to what he can do, like Wayne did with Cookie back in the day, whether Memo is going to be allowed to run or not. So yeah, a lot of question marks there. And for 70K or less, you can get someone in a similar boat at a better side as well. So I think I would probably lean Corey Pakes over Mamazella, surprisingly. Just really thinking about it now, that's the way I'd lean. But at the same time, it's hard to say because Mamazella is probably more playable than Corey Pakes.
Yeah, so if you were having to pick 2 of the, let's say looking for cheapy hookers, if you had to pick 2 out of the 3, where would you go?
I'd probably... Is Brendan Hands come into this equation?
Yeah, we know you're a big fan of Hands. If Hands is there...
I'm a fan of Hands if Joash Papali'i's the 14, there's no Lussick or Riley Smith on the bench, then I would go Hands, and I would, out of the 4 cheapies, I Pakes, Sanders Smith, Mamo, and Hands. Hands is a confident hook 1 compared to them, just because, big minutes in a fast-paced team, I would expect a minimum 40 to 50 average from him if he's playing 80, whereas the other guys, just with the uncertainty around minutes, role, things like that, it's a bit tougher. If I'm having to play one, if it's specifically just down to Mamo, Pakes, and Sanders Smith, I probably would actually lean Sanders Smith as the guy to play, just with the goal kicking. He's got Angus Crichton next to him. It's not a bad team. They're fighting for the 8, but they're still not a bad team. There will be points in them. I'd probably lean him. Although, just the main hesitation for me with Sanders Smith right now is pairing him with Harry Grant and playing him around 2 against Penrith. That's just such a killer for me. We'll move on to the last kind of point, which is the halfback, fullback. We've just narrowed this down to Duffy and Ayongi. Well, obviously, there's a whole different discussion about whether you own them, but we're just going to assume we're owners of them. Are you playing them every week? Are they matchup based? What should you expect from them, points wise, cash wise? We'll start with Duffy because he's we're a bit more on the fence with him. Duffy goal kicking, is he a play every week, or are you playing him on matchups?
I think I've seen enough in SuperCoach over the years to go rookie halfbacks can have really low ones. They can easily drop a 15. And so for that reason alone, without having laid eyes on Duffy, I would be saying he's a matchup play at this current time. And there's quite a few difficult matchups for the Cows to start off with. So I think that makes him tricky. What about you?
Yeah. Their first bye is round 7. Round 7. And looking at the run, the only matchups I would be confident playing him in is round 4 against Canberra and round 6 against South. Other than that, Manly, Sharks, Broncos, and Penrith, not games I'm super confident playing him in. If I absolutely needed to against Manly or Broncos, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, Sharks and Penrith are games I wouldn't want to be playing Duffy in because I can see them shutting him down. So yeah, it's not as easy a decision to play as someone like Ayongi, who I would say more or less is a play every single week. I can see arguments as to why people might sit him out round 1. First real hit out in the NRL besides the one game for Penrith last year. And against Melbourne Storm, round 1, it's the hardest matchup you can get at any point of the year, Melbourne round 1. So I can see the argument for sitting him in a matchup like that or against Penrith themselves. But any other game, you'd be starting Ayongi. Would you be on the same page there?
I think he's a play every week. I think I can understand the trepidation around the Storm matchup. I think I would be a little bit more with you if that matchup was 8 o'clock at night, Dewey, Amy Park, but it's Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock, sun will be shining. I think there's enough there that with his work rate and Eels attacking structure, I'd be backing him that one attacking stat gets him a solid enough score. So I think he's a play every week. I think that's a big appeal for an Iongi build.
Perfect. Well, we'll leave it there. If you guys liked any of the content, we have posted a lot more content on the SuperCoach Hub Discord in a full free content section. We've also got our subscription going, as you can see here. Subscribe in the Hub Discord. We've released content, I think, almost every single day now for the last month, and that will continue on until the season starts. We will be putting out hopefully a few more bits before I fly off to Vegas, but time will tell. But thank you all. If you have any questions, feel free to hit us up on Twitter or in Discord. We will both be pretty active.
Yeah, and if you're not sure how to sign up, just let us know as well, and we'll direct you where to go.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.